Welcome to another episode of Dishonorable Mention. As always, we are joined by communications specialist, Dr. Carla Mastracchio. Say hello, Carla.
Hello.
Also joining us, communications director from Ruth's List, Becca Teeter. Say hello, Becca.
Hello, Becca.
And as always, I am Ernest Hooper, a friend of Tampa Bay, and we are so excited on this episode to welcome the Honorable Mayor of Tampa, Jane Castor. Mayor Castor, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Glad to be here.
Our other regular, Chris Lotval, is not able to join us today, but he's on assignment.
He's on assignment.
He's on assignment.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's doing constituent work. But again, although we sit on separate sides of the aisle, we are the best of friends. One of the things you've said recently in an interview that I thought was really, really important and profound, and I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on it, is that you're making decisions with 10% of the information, and you're 100% responsible. How does that affect you personally?
Well, that's a little stressful at times. I had Councilman Miranda. I was before him as a chief of police one time, and he said, "Chief, you need more stars because most chiefs wear 4, and I wore 2." And I said, "Trust me, these are heavy enough." So it's especially dealing with this virus, there's no after action report. You can't call anyone who's been through this to learn best practices or lessons learned. So it can be stressful at times, but my approach has always been to get as much information as I possibly can, expert opinions, and then make decisions that are in the best interest of the community.
You seem to be doing a heck of a job, especially with no guidebook.
Yeah.
Yes, there is no guidebook, that's for sure.
And that's something I kind of want to ask you about too. Like, as Floridians, we're used to models. So we like knowing what the cone of uncertainty looks like and stuff like that. Right. So we see the curve and we keep seeing different kind of iterations of the curve. So where are we in that model that we're so kind of familiar with? Like, have we flattened the curve? Are we crushing the curve? Like, what is going on with the curve?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. We technically were crushing this curve. We hit our peak back in the middle of April. But as I saw one time, Pee Wee Herman said, there's always a big but, and there's a big but in this. We have only tested just over 1% of our population. So it's difficult to make sound decisions on such a small slice of data. So that's why we're trying to ramp up our testing right now and get as many people as we possibly can tested. I was holding out a great deal of hope for the antibody testing to see who had gone through this virus, was asymptomatic, and could go back out into the workforce. Well, those hopes have been somewhat dashed in that the original tests that came out have been deemed to be too high of a failure rate associated with those. And the next round of tests that are coming out that can pretty accurately determine if you have had COVID-19 or not. But now the argument is how long that immunity can last. The health professionals' first estimations were a year or 2, and now they're talking about it could just be a matter of months. So that would have a huge impact on, the opening of the community and how many individuals we could put back into the workforce safely. So now what we would have to, in the absence of more information, more accurate data, we're going to have to look to that herd immunity that people have talked about and get individuals that have had slowly build up that herd immunity while we try to protect those most vulnerable individuals out in our community. This isn't going to be a return to normal as we know it for quite some time. There's no doubt about that.
And I'm personally okay with that. I mean, I don't know. I just want to zip myself up in a little bag and never come out until it's over.
Yeah, I feel bad for those individuals that are incredibly social and, and just don't have the ability to go out and socialize. Even when you connect, through social media and other videos, forms, it's just not the same as that in-person connection with individuals.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, but we do have Netflix, we have Zoom, we have the House Party app.
There you go.
We've got a lot going for us that the pandemic of 1918 did not have. So I kind of feel
so
like,
true.
A lot of us, not everyone, but a lot of us are incredibly privileged in that respect. So
yes, that is true.
So, Mayor, I want to praise you for quoting Pee Wee Herman. I really appreciate that.
I appreciate that. And I was looking forward to the opportunity to do that. And I figured I could let my guard down here and do that. So thanks.
Yes. But you also received praise. Well, Hillsborough County, the city of Tampa, received praise from Governor DeSantis this week. He heralded our area, Hillsborough County in particular, as being a leader in Florida in terms of how they've handled the virus. How does that make you feel? It must make you feel pretty good to hear that kind of praise.
Well, that praise, I believe, goes to the citizens here in the city of Tampa and in Hillsborough County, in that they understood their level of personal responsibility and took it very seriously. So our Safer at Home order, for the most part, has been adhered to. So I think that credit goes out to the community for doing what needed to be done.
So I also wanted to ask, you're trying to get people up and dancing every night at 6:00.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit about the genesis of that idea and how it's gone over with the community.
Well, I happen to, I always say my IT department went off to college, so they're back. My two sons are almost 21 years old. And I was walking through the living room one day and they had the news on, which is impressive in and of itself. But there was a segment from New York where everybody came out at a particular time in the evening and all clapped. And so I said to our communications director, I go, wouldn't that be great for us to have, something where everyone could come out every evening and enjoy, just like let loose, come out and dance. And so Ashley Bauman, who is incredible, runs our communications department here at the city. She called iHeart. They have 6 radio stations. And they have partnered with us on a number of PSAs and different programs and initiatives that we've done. And so they agreed to play a song. The community could vote on the song every day, and they would play it every night at 6:00, same song on 6 different radio stations. And it's really been great. Everybody sends in their pictures to our @City of Tampa, and then videos and pictures to #HappyAtHomeTPA. So it's really cute to see everybody dancing and just having fun, just a few minutes to forget about the virus and just cut loose. As I say, dance like nobody's watching, which is usually the best bet whenever I start dancing.
Yes, I completely relate to that statement. And I think that type of activity that you've implemented, because this is obviously a very stressful time.
Yeah.
But realizing that quality of life and trying to, as cliche as it is, make lemons out of lemonade. And, it's one of the beautiful things. And I would say maybe some of the things that you've observed. I mean, I've never seen my neighbors more walking. Yes. And there's this beautiful sense of community, and my magnolia tree's blooming more than it ever has. And maybe it's just because I have the time to notice.
Right.
And so I think that's one thing that's beautiful. I mean, has there been anything, you obviously love this great city. Has there been anything that's been just truly warmed your heart that you've seen or had the privilege to hear about?
Oh, so many things. And that really, I always have to find the silver lining. And that is one of the silver linings, is that you have the ability to slow down and to see the beauty in nature. And then also I've heard from so many individuals, what you just stated, that your neighbors, now you get to find out who your neighbors are. And, you can talking to people and seeing people out walking. And so I think that is a wonderful sense of community that we may not have had time for before. But really what warms my heart every day is the way that our community has come together and the number of individuals and organizations that have come forward with incredibly innovative ideas and just great ideas for helping people out. I was at the Feeding Tampa Bay event every Saturday. They provide food at Hillsborough Community College, and I was there the first weekend they did it, and they provided food for 100 families. Then I went the next weekend. I had a bunch of radio shows to do, so I went last weekend again. And the first weekend, 1,000. Last weekend, over 3,000 families that were fed. And they did a survey. 70% had never received any charity in their entire life. 60% had just lost their jobs. But to see the individuals that came out and volunteered, and there was one young man that had worked at a distillery in St. Pete, and they started making hand sanitizer, and they were like, it was cute. They were in the little like airline alcohol bottles, and so they were handing that hand sanitizer out to every family. And just to see, the gratitude on the faces of those individuals that were receiving the food and the gifts was very heartwarming, and to see all the individuals that had volunteered, the groups that are our Parks and Recreation employees, what they are doing is amazing. They've started painting the chalk reminders and just little motivational sayings all over the city, reminders for the 6-foot distancing, and then just little motivational sayings. We're in this together, we'll get through this. That I've heard so many positive comments on that. And then we have 2 elderly centers here in the city of Tampa, McFarland Park and Reagan Center, and the workers call every single individual that signed up at those parks every single day, so that they're not isolated. They don't feel like they're alone. They get to talk to someone every single day. So those are the things that really make me proud of our city, both the team members at the city of Tampa, but also all of our citizens, because they truly take it to heart. We are in this together, and they're going to do what they can to help their neighbors out and to help community members out that they may have never seen. The police officers that line up at TGH and at St. Joseph's to clap in the healthcare workers. Just little gestures like that say thank you. We recognize and appreciate what you're doing every single day.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful example of, we cannot always control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it. And I think there's nothing but good things to say about so many efforts and your leadership and your incredible team, people like Ashley and so many others.
Yeah. Yep. They're great.
So,
yeah, we love you.
in the closing minutes, we just want to ask about reopening the economy and where we are with the safe at home order. How do you see that transpiring over the next 15 to 30 days? I think the county and you in conjunction just extended most of the safe at home orders until May 15th, correct?
Right. Well, ours is it's done every 7 days, reinstituted, and I'm very, very hopeful with the approach that the governor has indicated he's going to take, and that is not adhering to a one-size-fits-all and just providing requirements for the entire state, because the Panhandle doesn't resemble South Florida, and Tampa is completely different from Plant City. And so I'm very pleased with that approach and the fact that he said that he is going to take it very slowly, the opening of the economy, and he's going to base it on science. So I couldn't ask for more from our governor in that aspect. And so what we're looking at, we have to wait and see what he says today at his press conference. But I can tell you in the city of Tampa, we've already looked at a number of other plans that cities have had for reopening specific businesses, and we have tailored one for our city, but we have to adhere to the emergency policy group and what their decisions are for reopening the county. But I believe that that they will move, the county will move with the same deliberate steps anchored in science and in the data. And so I understand, I have both responsibilities, and we have to balance the health and well-being of our community with our economic vitality. But first and foremost, I have to look out for the health and well-being of our community. And so we will get back on our feet economically as quickly as we possibly can. This isn't the flu season. We haven't, it's not where a couple of months and then we're out of the flu season and everybody's fine. We're just holding this virus off by the safer at home order. And the danger in it, besides its lethality, is the fact that it is transmitted with such ease and that it's silent in so many cases. And so we have to be very surgical about how we open our community back up. And I think the majority of the citizens understand and appreciate that. But it is not lost on me that so many of our citizens are struggling financially.
All right, Mayor. Well, we appreciate you joining us, and we want to close, as we close with all of our guests, by telling you we wholeheartedly believe in a meme that stated your entire life is defined by what the number one song was on your 14th birthday.
Oh, my gosh.
So I did some research, and I know the answer.
I know I'm old.
The number one song on your 14th birthday was Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas. Yes.
Wow.
But it defines your life. You are a fighter for us.
There you go. I think it's pretty fierce. I'm here for it.
Great.
So
good deal.
The next time you hear Kung Fu Fighting, think about us, okay?
I'll remember that. Well, thank you for doing that research. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Mayor. Thanks for joining us.
You guys take care. See ya.
All right, keep dancing.